All right, welcome to Legacies, everyone. Legacies is powered by Aveo, leaders in sustainable vape hardware. I'm joined by Marty and CJ of Lune Farms. Gents, we finally made it happen. Here you are.
How are you, Tom?
Doing well.
Good to be back with you, brother.
Wait, look, I show up to the farm. Marty's like, come up to the farm. Come up to the farm. It'll be a beautiful day. It's fucking cloudy and rainy, and CJ's gone, nah. Tom's coming. I'm out. Fuck this. I'm out.
Other than that, it was perfect.
I mean, the execution is everything.
Yeah.
Gents, I'm super excited that you're able to join me. I know the story. Maybe I'll get a few more nuggets of information, but having you share the lead up to Lune Rise, your current success, maybe struggles. We'll talk about that as well. But you're just off the heels of Kind, and I do want to get into that, but we'll go back in time first. What I'd like to understand and help our audience understand is your backgrounds, what led to Lune Farms, and what you guys are doing now.
The why in the business. Okay.
The why, the Simon Sinek why.
Yes.
I'm going to leave this one to Marty. This is a lot of this is his genesis story here that we tucked into. So over to you.
Yeah.
So, CJ, I was waiting for you to say this is his fault.
Yeah. Well,
you wait
that also is true.
Yeah, wait till the end. Then I'll turn on him quickly.
Yeah. So it was. We had a family. We have a family farm. It's about 2 hours north where we grew up in Hamilton, and our dad passed away. And our mom was faced with the situation where she had two properties and wasn't able to sustain both of them. So we both loved the farm, and our families loved the farm, and really wanted to figure out a way to keep it. And so we essentially figured out that we really just had to increase the revenue that Mom was making off of the fields. And at that time, I read a Globe and Mail article. It was back in 2017 about Hexo and a couple of other producers who were entering the legal market. And I found the location where Hexo was, at least the town, and thought, okay, we've got a much bigger farm than they do. And it's a lot colder in that parallel than what we are. Why couldn't we do this? And so I organized a whole bunch of information and data, and there was an Easter in 2017. And we started cocktails on the Friday, and I said, "Mom, I think we got an idea on how to keep the farm, and we've got a long weekend here. Let's get into it." And I think it was like first or second drink.
Oh no, it was first drink, and just for the record, Marty was springing this on my mom and myself at the same time.
That's true.
And the first drink, the first sip was a little ominous when he came in with a stack of papers that was about 2 feet high.
Yeah. And so I started talking about the cannabis industry, and it essentially could help us increase the revenue she was making on the farm. And we would essentially rent the fields from her and make ends meet. And we wanted to launch the business. And she said, okay, let's do this, which I was shocked at. I actually got upset.
Yeah.
Like, I put a lot of work into this folder. There's a lot more data. Do you not want to know what this is all about? She's like, no, I think this is a great idea.
The deal was closed by the second sip, and that 2 foot high stack of paper was basically a coaster for his drink.
Jesus. Well, I'm glad. It's nice to know that you put all that research and time and effort into things, Marty.
It paid off later.
Yeah, but to be honest, Tom, no one ever looked inside those folders, so it could have been the classic one sheet on top, one on the bottom, and then blank paper. So let's not give him too many props on this.
Okay,
look at my billfold.
Yeah, exactly.
Hundreds of ones in the center.
That size, yeah.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So it didn't take too much convincing then, obviously. But then the work and the preparation, planning, getting things set up and licensed. I still remember the early days, right? Build it out and they will come. They being Health Canada, come and inspect to make sure you're where you need to be before they'll grant that license, which is totally fucking ass backwards to me. Spend hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. Then maybe if you're lucky and you play your cards right, we'll give you a license. Anyways, so
Yeah.
so what was step one? Once the agreement was there, yeah, okay, we're gonna do this. So, like,
Okay, so what we
Sliding away from
yeah, I know. Well, I hope you keep sliding the other direction. So there was actually our current footprint, the outdoor grow. That's actually Lune Rise Farms 2.0, because when we started the submission process, which lasts about infinity years, we started going through it. At that time, Health Canada was only licensing indoor grows. So it was basically putting in glass greenhouses and all that fun stuff. We know how that's played out over time, but that's the only route we had. And the irony of it is, okay, we've got this beautiful agricultural land, perfect for everything. Let's pave it over and put in a greenhouse. So that was a little counterintuitive, but we got knee deep in the engineering plans, which were almost 2 feet high themselves, and good to go, paid for everything, of course. Then as soon as we were ready to break ground, Health Canada turned around and said, oh, by the way, you can grow outdoors. So we shredded Lune Rise Farms 1.0 and pivoted to our current outdoor grow. And that's amazing that worked out, luckily, just by timing.
Yeah.
yeah, I remember those days. I remember, so I was at Ample Organics at the time and having discussions with Health Canada about outdoor grow. And I'm like, hey, this is fantastic, but like, please tell me you're not going to make these guys put tags on every single plant outdoors. Like, this is going to be crazy. Like, because they were wondering, like, can it be tracked? I'm like, sure, anything's possible, but please, like, let's take it easy on the farmers, shall we? Yeah. So, and I mean, like I said, I've been to the farm. It's a beautiful space. You guys have expanded again for this year. What was going through your minds in the beginning? Like, are you fucking crazy? No, like, what was going through, so you have to pivot from 1.0. So now you can grow outdoors, which is ultimately, I think, what you wanted to be doing to begin with.
Yeah.
No?
Well, listen, let's be fair. This is a full midlife crisis for both of us. Right? It's like, there's no sugarcoating that, but we had a really good why and why we were starting the business, which is, it did help us navigate a couple of years into operation. And, but really it was trying to figure all this stuff out. We'd never built something like this before. We actually broke ground fall of 2019.
Yeah, it was one of the worst winters on record. I remember I was up there and it was like absolutely 4 feet of snow and frozen. Our contractors just loved us at that point.
Yeah. Then we had a little sidecar COVID that hit us. That was fun during construction.
Yeah.
And multiple shutdowns. And then we submitted back then you had to finish everything and then submit. So we're spending quite a lot of money, which is really our money and a few friends and family. And we didn't get licensed until mid-July.
Yeah. It was July 17th.
Like one more week. We did have a bit of an ace in the hole, which we figured out. Our local federal MP was on the committee that actually passed the Cannabis Act. So we, by sheer dumb luck, found this gentleman and had him advocate on our behalf to get licensed and explain how this is we have one big turn for our grow. It's not indoor where you can do 4 to 5. And he advocated and we finally got in.
Wow.
But just by the skin of our teeth.
It's an interesting thing. Like if you're Health Canada and you're in the licensing department, I mean, personally, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Farmer's Almanac or even just something like that. But if you're licensing outdoor grows, it's sort of crucial to license them by a certain time.
Yeah.
You got one kick at the can. So we're putting plants in at the very end of July. Spoiler alert, they weren't our biggest plants of all time. But we did get them in the ground under extreme duress. I still feel like that first generation of clones hold a grudge. There's areas in my personal garden that I think they're taking vengeance on.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's a little late. But so and then what was like, what were you expecting year one? Like, did you, oh man, these are going in late. Like, the yields aren't going to be where we want them to be. And I guess you were bringing in expertise as well, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
to help guide you through this, obviously sourcing genetics and prepping the fields, what type of nutrients you're going to have on hand, all of this stuff.
It's on a scale, like when you do guerrilla growing outdoors, you're really talking about 100 to 150 plants, maybe in the middle of a cornfield. You got a couple of 1,000-liter totes, and you maybe see the crop a couple of times. The scale we were doing is 6 acres, and even we had a great grower, but like it's things on that scale go sideways fast, and the momentum's pretty dramatic. So, but to answer your question of what we thought this would be field of dreams. Like we just grow it and they're going to line up, and we don't know who would buy this, but everyone.
Yeah.
They'll be calling us. They won't even know how to get our number, but they'll call.
Yeah.
And then we did our our first test, came back, and it
Oh,
was
Jesus.
the first plant we harvested tested out at 15%.
Oh, no.
Or is it 11?
No. I mean, both of those I would, in retrospect, have taken. Our first test came back from a lab at 6%, Tom. So, I mean, I'm not an expert, but 6% is a touch underwhelming to kick off. And I remember that day because the analysis came through. We looked at it. I just quietly got up from my desk, walked over, poured a 2-ounce shot of Jack Daniels, drank it, didn't say a word, and decided to go to bed. I was like, well, that was fun.
Yeah, we thought we were dead before we got started.
Yeah.
My God.
Now, turns out we got a retest on it, and it was over 20%. So, there you can't have things, but I just feel like that sort of sense of humor, maybe you want to kick that down the line a little bit, not as your first test.
Jesus. Yeah, that would be slightly disheartening, I would think.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so I mean, and then we fast forward. So this was 2017, 18. Then the pandemic, all this stuff happens. You guys have been, you've been growing. You've been getting product to market. You've been supplying other LPs and brands. Man, lessons learned over the course of this time you've been spending. What advice?
Well, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Our advice to anyone who's trying to get in right now: run. No, it was really interesting, and I will say, going back to that first year, and when you're asking, what are you expecting? Like, let's be honest, we put in 42 different types of genetics that first year, right?
Yeah.
So we're fire hosing out there to try and see at our first take with our growers what's going to actually work. Right? What's going to work in the environment? What's going to work? What's not going to get pests everywhere, powder, mildew, all the check boxes. I think we got our first early frost that year, and it wiped out mid-September, wiped out half the field. So we knew we could park those genetics.
Yeah.
We were down to about 20. So if there's one great thing from that first year is our goal really wasn't to monetize, although that's always the dream. Still is in this industry.
Yeah, still is.
Still is. But we got down to a core set of genetics that actually performed really well, even though they were little mini-me's. And that kind of set us up for the following year to know that we had some genetics which would do quite well. And if we got them in before the fall, we'd have a chance to actually kick off a nice crop in the second year.
Nice.
Yeah.
So within that realm of genetics, obviously, outdoor farming, much different than indoor. Market demands shift. What's hot may not, in the next 2 months sometimes in this industry. With you guys having to do so much planning and preparation, if you're wanting to introduce new genetics, like how do you even go about that from an outdoor cultivation perspective? Because I mean, you just went through, you had 42, wiped half out, you've got some that are a little more frost resistant, etc. But this industry is so picky and choosy. You
Yeah.
know, there's a hot new strain. I got to get that strain, you know, like how do you guys handle that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a 2-year process for us for new genetics.
Jeez, you gotta,
So
where's your fucking crystal ball? Jeez.
yeah, no, like it's well, even if we know that this could be good, it's got to actually make it in the field
Mm-hmm.
and without any hand holding.
Right,
So
right.
we have in our 6 acres, we had about 73, 74 rows. And so we would dedicate a row to genetics. And we started off planting, we get about 120 plants in a row. So we would plant 40 different genetics. That was interesting to see if a plant would make it, but it's not really helpful as we progress to help us understand, well, what is that strain good for? Is it good for pre-rolls? Is it good for bubble hash? Is it good for live resin? To give you an example, we have a genetic that we just put out called Pink Tsunami. And we almost killed this plant because when we tested it for a pre-roll, it tested out at 18%. The terps were great. They were over 4%. But we didn't think we could monetize that strain. And we decided, all right, well, let's try it as a trial live resin and see what happens. And it came out at 78% THC and 20% terpenes. So we, over time, changed our strategy on how we did these genetics. So we started planting fewer but more of the same strain so we could trial it as flower. Sometimes things work well in solventless for bubble hash. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes things work better on the live resin side through hydrocarbon. You have to be willing to experiment. And there's some that were a real favorite for our team and they just didn't make it.
Yeah.
And you can't do much about that. It's just, we're in the wrong climate band for that strain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I will say our R&D rows, because as we've grown now to 12 acres, you've got a couple R&D rows. It's probably the most fun we have in those rows, but it's, kind of like a lot of relationships. You don't want to get attached because some of them will just literally cut you at the last time. I remember my first love was blueberry lemonade.
That was a heartache.
We flirted all summer long, and this thing was gorgeous. And then the frost came, and I came down to flirt one morning, and they were all dead. So you got to run that full gamut. Then it puts you into the next year after testing. So it is a long process, but for us, and certainly if we're growing for other people, it gives us the confidence to know it can run the gauntlet because we've tried things, we've been approached, and people think it works in different environments. Let's go for it. And we just can't do that because it doesn't set you up for success or them if you do not know what the outcome of that plant's going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll do it as a genetics row year one. If it works, we'll grow it on a limited scale. We'll put it out. We've got a couple of products that are rotational. We call farmers market. So we'll sort of make a bet on where that strain would fit, and we'll put it into farmers market, and hopefully it does well that second year. We've had some that did well in the first year in the genetics row, but didn't perform on some scale. That's okay. But that's sort of a portion of our business. I think you were asked earlier about advice. I mean, our advice would be to people, go slow. This is not a sprint. And we got our license in 2020. We didn't start retail until 2023, I think.
Yeah.
The December 2023. And we just focused on wholesale. We just focused on trying to figure out, which way's up. And what genetics work and iron out the 50 kinks that you're going to find in the business. And then start slowly doing retail. And we were really slow and methodical with that. We put out 3 products in December of 2023, and we stuck to those 3 products for a year and a half. Because we knew there were a whole bunch of hidden problems below the surface that we just didn't know of. Mm-hmm. And better to discover those with 3 products and pay the toll that way versus 12, and your things are just blowing up everywhere.
Like out of the gate, were you looking to have product in market? And I'll add, by the way, so even just getting the genetics into the field, that's one thing, but you still have, I'm assuming you're doing your own pheno-hunting prior to even getting to the point to have enough of those ladies to put into the fields. So tack all that extra time on that all the producers and processors go through. But out of the gate, when you were, the 2-foot stack of business plan and how you're going to convince bro and ma, were your thoughts, okay, we're going to develop our own brand, we're going to have our own products in market, or was it primarily you wanted to wholesale?
I would say, I mean, our revenue channel was certainly focused on wholesale, right? Because we did not want to put products out into retail and to consumers before we knew the quality, and we're going on kind of the wholesale market. And certainly you don't have to spend the money you do to fire up a retail brand. But I would say that our goal was always to establish a brand. I mean, here's the thing. Marty's background, 25 years. I don't know. You're pretty old, so maybe it's 40 years.
It could really be. I've lost all that.
I think it's like pi. It just multiplies. But his background sales and mine was 25 years in marketing. So we kind of, you've got a category that kicks off in Canada, leading the industry. And we had unbridled enthusiasm as 2 idiots who were like, why? You get once in a lifetime chance to be a part of a brand new category like Prohibition 2.0. So certainly, while Marty was looking after kind of the sales and generating contacts and revenue for wholesale, I was cooking on, 9 months to get our logo even, right? So doing it slow and methodical, because you got one shot at creating a brand. After that, you better have it on lockdown. So it was always our vision to do that. It was just slow and steady to get there, and not just rushing out of the gate to try and make ourselves known.
Yeah. Where did you find, so, you launched with 3 SKUs. What was the good, bad, and ugly of that? What lessons learned? And then, because you've got far more than 3 SKUs in market now.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I mean, we also at the same time kicked off a YouTube channel. And the real reason for that was, I mean, I'm pretty sure you can tell meeting us and talking to us, we're not exactly hell-bent to impress anyone or preach, but we
certainly the way you look.
Yeah.
When
exactly.
I need a good laugh, I go and watch some of that content. The two of you, and I'll add the story of, I think you were introducing or something, and you're like, I'm CJ Johnston. And Marty looks at you and he goes, you can't be CJ Johnson. You're CJ, Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson or CJ. I don't know why, how many times you were dropped.
Just put that back in your tipple trunk, honestly. So yeah, it was off to a rocky start right from the beginning. But our whole kind of approach to this was, we were new to the industry. Certainly we surrounded ourselves with people who absolutely know how to grow. I mean, that's the important thing, right? Mm-hmm. Know what you don't know. We certainly didn't know that. We knew how to smoke it. We didn't know how to grow it, but we knew how to do a business. And we kind of wanted to demonstrate through our YouTube, people ask the question, so what does it take to launch a cannabis company? Well, come on in and we'll show you. Yeah. And the way you typically show that is by screwing everything up. And our goal was to screw one thing up once and then move on to the next thing. So it was a big unknown, right? And so we had a ton of fun coupled with a boatload of anxiety on trying to figure out, what we were doing from a product standpoint, what Mother Nature was going to hit us with each and every season. So there was challenges left, right, and center, as there are with everybody who kind of joined in on this industry, where I think everybody out of the gate bought that golden printer because you need to print this money, which is going to come flying out turns out that wasn't the actual case. And it's a long, long haul that you kind of put a football helmet on, do up your chin strap, and it's a war of attrition. You just put your head down and keep going until someone tells you you're tapped out.
Yeah. 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 I picture the early mornings, the arguments, the things going south. I think when we had connected a while back and I saw it when I was there, but you're talking about, the well, and now you got to deal with how we're going to service this other 6 acres that we've expanded into. There's just, it seems
We're
like
still
there's
trying to figure that out.
Yeah. But I think that's why so many can just open their arms to you guys, is that you're real about it. You're not just putting out press releases. I don't know if you've ever put out a press release.
We did once, Tom. It only said one word: help. It was picked up by a lot of it.
Yes, use the old winter stock as you take it down to make a great big sign in the field and burn it. Help.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, okay. So how many SKUs do you guys currently have? Because we talked about, we had the 3. How many SKUs do you currently have?
We have currently 11 SKUs, another one dropping on the 18th of August. So that'll bring us up to 12, and one in September, which brings us to that magical number of 13.
Okay. And how do you decide you want to bring a new SKU? Is it plant dependent? Is it demand dependent? Like what is it that's making that decision?
That's a good question. So it is a negotiation. I come up with 15 new things that I think we should launch, and then CJ whittles it down to a manageable. We once launched 4 in a drop. That almost broke us. It was right before harvest, and we're trying to launch things. And so we basically tried to look at our current products and find other ways for those genetics to express themselves. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. So the rotational SKUs help us. So we were just at Kind, and we've had some retailers come up and say, the first live resin you guys put out was this peanut butter breath live resin, and it was fantastic. We love it as flower, but could you not just put that out as live resin again? And we've been talking to the OCS about, okay, we're starting to get people who like these strains that we rotate out of, and how do we address that? And, with the process that we currently go through. And they're pretty good with that. But I think we try to keep it to 1 or 2 just to keep our sanity. We're not a big team. I mean, they're 12 of us.
Yeah.
So, and we got 12 acres. So it's basically 1 per acre plus some time on the retail side. So we start off with a whole bunch of ideas, and then we whittle it down and negotiate it down to maybe 1 or 2. We might submit 4 and only get 2. It's a bit of sometimes we'll get none,
Yeah. And I think for us, it's, like hopefully a lot of people in the industry, it's quality, 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 right? So we kind of live by a saying, which is, if it's not in the plant, it's not in our products, right? So we want to create a suite of products that, if you enjoy a certain strain, I'm just going to say, we'll use our strawberry cough as an example. If you enjoy the strawberry cough as a pre-roll, then should we put it out as a hash? It will be exactly the same, but in a different format. Do we do it in a live resin? That sort of thing. So you're going to get the same flavor, aroma, all those things, but just during different expressions. And I think for us, it's building on that. If the market is telling you that a certain strain is doing well, then you play in that space. Like we have a peanut butter breath that's quite popular, so we work on establishing that across different SKUs. And I think our biggest learning, well, my God, you got a million learnings. But anyways,
I'm excited. What's our biggest one?
No, is I would say try not to chase the shiny new ball, right? So just because there's a new category that comes out, if that's not your sweet spot that you play in, don't necessarily chase it all the time. We We're very good at dried flower for pre-rolls, milled flower, and we love our live products. Why? Because we take our product off the field and we've got a fresh frozen facility right on site. So our plants come off, and in an hour and a half, they're frozen. So if you do that, now you have the ability to get absolutely fresh product that we wheel down a hallway and put in to our bubble hash making, that we can turn into live rosin. But it's the proximity. We're not shipping away. So we have a sweet spot of certain areas that we play in, and we like to stick to that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How do you forecast? So, and what provinces are you currently in now?
Well, we're in Ontario. We basically decided, all right, that's the biggest market. It's our home base. If we can't succeed there, then why would we bother trying anywhere else? We're sporadically in Saskatchewan.
Yep.
We just got listed in New Brunswick for live resin. And that's it.
So, and you're wholesaling as well. So you've got your SKUs, your core products, which, some are rotating.
Yeah.
Are there other provinces, like if you have the ability, I've had this conversation with multiple producers, right? Which are, look, I'm selling out. I don't need to be in other provinces, but sometimes you got to hedge that bet just in case, sales start to drop in one province. Does it make sense to be in another? How do you guys analyze that and decide, yeah, we'd love to be in every province, or no. Just like, let's keep it here. We can keep it safe this way, especially as you mentioned, you've got a smaller team, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's really for us. Okay. So farming is a very patient business. We're really not in a rush to be a national brand. We're not, maybe we'll get there someday. I don't even know if that's a true statement. The one thing we have started to explore this year, which is new for us, is medical. So we have started to partner up with a few medical brands and really see how that is and how that sort of plays into the revenue mix. But wholesale for us is the part of the business that we can't dilute too much, because it's important to find that balance. And we like that we've gotten to a position where we can support some larger brands, and they will come to us for specific products that come out of the frozen world, like live resin or some concentrates. And that's, we love that.
Yeah. I think the other thing is, you talked about press releases before, right? And there's been mistakes before where people say, okay, we were 6 acres, like we started, but we just got a farm that's 200 acres. So let's plant it. Okay. I love it. There's half the battle. Do you want to know where the Grim Reaper is? Waiting for you in October. So just because you plant it doesn't mean you can take it off the field.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it really is about what can you truly support to sustain the quality that you're trying to achieve as a brand. And do we want to be national? Maybe. Could we support it right now? Absolutely not. And the goal is never to overextend yourself so that you're diluting the quality of your product. If you do that, you're dead.
Yeah.
So we always have to demand plan on what we absolutely know we can support and support well, and then look for opportunities that we also feel, i.e. medical, that we can support. But getting into all kinds of provinces and not being able to deliver is kind of a recipe for disaster. So it's slow and steady to make sure your demand planning can meet where you are going, so that quality equals quality across the board.
What drives the wholesale side for you guys? Is it, outdoor, full spectrum, quality product? Is it, look, your products are performing really well in market, you must have some great genetics and great product. What drives that wholesale business? And my next question to that will be, how is pricing becoming these days?
Yeah.
So wholesale for us is an interesting thing. I think you've got to, the producers that have done well in wholesale sort of can put themselves on the other side of that discussion and understand what the buyer is actually looking for. So the fear of the buyer is, here's a sample. it looks great. I hand pick that sample, but when you send me hundreds of kilos, it looks like crap. And that happens more times than we want to talk about in the industry. It's sort of a lunch bag letdown. And so in the frozen world, it's even harder because we're not going to send you a frozen sample. It'll be mushed by the time you get it. They really aren't buying the frozen. They're buying, what can I turn frozen into?
Right.
And we figured that out early on and would take our genetics, run them, have data for customers saying, here's the end product. Here's the yield this product will get you. Here's how much you'd have to buy to fill that SKU. And we give them all the data so they can make an informed decision. And it sounds very easy, but you got to put a lot of money into that to basically help them make a good buying decision that they don't regret in the future. And if you do that well and you deliver on the promise you made, they'll come back. I mean, you
first of all, let me say that doesn't sound easy, because I know what it takes to bulk sell cannabis. Selling bulk dry flower cured ready to go would be much easier than going through now. Okay, we need to extract it. We need to show the yield. Here's your COAs. Here's expectancy. That sounds way more complicated than just moving around dried flower.
It is, which is good because of fewer people that do it.
Right.
And we made a big bet really early on, and we built a whole frozen facility. And typically, what you do if you're harvesting is you bring in reefer trucks, harvest it, freeze it, and you're selling it right away. But in the agricultural world, you want to be able to arbitrage your harvest. You sell some corn right now to pay some bills. You hold on to some for the spring when there's not as much supply, and you get a better price for it. And so we invested heavily in being able to arbitrage. Right now, it's very hard to buy frozen. We have 6 40-foot marine reefers that we, depending on the power outage and power fluctuation, they're all working or not.
Yeah.
But
just one more problem to have to deal with.
Yeah,
man, I've never had compressor dealers on speed dial like we have now. It is unbelievable. For something that's as hardy as a marine reefer, turns out compressors aren't as hardy, so you got to have those going. But, as Marty said, it's ultimately, if you can get to a place where you're not planting and hoping, looking for spot buys, but you are partnered with a bunch of people that you have relationships with, so you can collectively pre-plan your field before you plant, that's Mecca, right? So you're actually know the quality that's going in, your partners that are buying it know what they're getting because there's a history and a relationship, and it makes it a lot easier. And we're very transparent, right? If someone falls in love with one of our genetics and says, I want all of that for hash, and it is terrible for hash, we're going to tell you. Right. We're like, okay, you may love that strain, but it's not great for hash, but it is great for X, Y, and Z. And so there becomes a sort of trust that we're going to steer you with our genetics into the way they best express themselves.
Yeah, because we want the repeat order. I mean, in retail, it's the same thing. You want the repeat order. You just got to deliver on what you say.
Yeah. So you guys you've been at trade shows before, talking to the bud tenders and the different retailers, driving demand for the product. You're just that kind. And I had posted about this already, with the ability of OCS and growing in Ontario, you were able to get there. One, what was the experience like? I didn't make it. So that's why you didn't see my friendly face there, or scary, which depending on which way you look at it. But also I'd given some kudos, and out of that post, I'm growing more and more this affinity for OCS and their support. Yeah, they make a fuckload of money. I get it. Well, I shouldn't say that, because that money's getting transferred over to the Minister of Finance. Anyways, I'll draw it there. But out of that, I connected with Trevor Dayton from the OCS, and brilliant guy, love the background, and even more so, the support that they offer outside of financial support to be able to attend shows was just incredible. If you're in retail and you're struggling with merchandising and trying to understand how to stock your shelves or best practices, they offer all of that to anyone that's willing to listen to them. But anyways, I'm curious, what was your experience like at Kind?
Well, I mean, I would, first off, I'll echo your sentiments when it comes to the OCS, right? Like, you know, I think all growers, LPs, retail, everyone's had their challenges because it's a brand new industry. And, you know, sure, there's been growing pains on the OCS side too, right? And they're the first to admit it. But I will tell you, we wouldn't have been at Kind if it wasn't for the OCS and, you know, putting a spotlight on Ontario Grown. And we had some great partners in our room. So there's support that they do put in, and they give you the opportunity to do things that, quite frankly, we wouldn't be able to do. To get into Kind, first and foremost, you can probably tell my brother's voice, and if you can see my eyes, I think I still have brain damage from that 2 days. We've never seen anything at that scale, right? And
Yeah.
so we're in there. I think I still can't feel the lower half of my body after 2 days, but it was an incredible experience. You know, it's huge, you know, and there's a lot going on there. I hadn't been to the other summer fairs, but I thought this year, I mean, there are ways of scanning people, you're getting thousands of people through in probably the most efficient way that I've seen you could do, right? We got exposure to consumers. We've never done a consumer show. It's a whole different ballgame.
We were pretty terrified.
Yeah, and I remember, you know, we got off the booth through the OCS and we were thrilled. I then hung up the phone, started crying, curled up in a little ball. When I got back up, I immediately called the OCS and I was like, okay, we've got 4 days to pull this off. What are we up against here? Like, what really, because your big fear is there's one thing to get into a show, there's another thing to represent yourself in a way that you want to represent yourself, right? I'm not just going to go in there, have a t-shirt and do balloon animals for people, although I'm quite good at balloon animals.
I like that idea.
But they were really helpful, saying, okay, we get it. We know you're scared. Here's the reality of the numbers. Here's what you're looking at, and helped us prepare as best you can. And yeah, it was a pretty incredible experience. I think, you know, should we go back, we'll be armed with what we know we're up against. But yeah, it was an opportunity that, quite frankly, there's no way we were looking at it. For we couldn't have afforded. We couldn't have afforded it. Scale. And we couldn't have been introduced to all these consumers and all these retailers and buyers. So big kudos for them. It's easy to take shots at the OCS or Health Canada or whatever, but man, oh man, they've really stepped in and helped a lot of producers kind of get out there. And certainly with the Ontario Grown, it's a big deal for us, right? It gives us the ability to stand out on certain things. So thrilled for that opportunity. And if my legs work next week, maybe I'll get out of the house and walk around.
Maybe you'll be in the field again, which is where Marty wants you.
Who knows? If you had asked me yesterday, I said I would have been in the field, but with a shovel and trying to dig a grave. It was a grind, but yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so, you know, I was there right at planting. They're going in the field. I'm looking forward to see them next stage and then harvest. Some farms, Marty, we talked about this, which, you know, some farms offer, we're going to have this harvest, celebration. And as soon as you said that, I'm like, who the fuck wants to come out and harvest plants? Like, they clearly have never done that. I have spent my time on a 5-gallon bucket upside down, trimming nightly, daily for 48, 72 hours. And that was enough for me. But you had joked and said, there is enough going on here. The last thing we need is not that we don't love our customers and consumers and retailers, but the last thing we need is more bodies at this farm just asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny to us to think that someone would want to do that. And they obviously have never harvested before, but like we're going from like easily 12 hours. We're not smiling.
No. The first hour.
We're not even looking forward to it right now, and it's August.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, well, I think Chris already referred to it as there's the Grim Reaper at the end of the season.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's a lot.
it's a lot, and I get it. On the one hand, I can see the approach and the strategy behind a harvest party. There's romantic notions for a lot of things. I mean, I know a lot of people have romantic notions of what it's like to live with me. It's not great.
I don't know if anyone's confused about that.
Yeah, exactly. Marty can vouch for it. Not great, but the thing is, it is clinical and surgical. When you're on the clock, you've got 30 days to take down what you need to take down in the best way possible. There's not a lot of chit chat, and there certainly isn't a lot of time to introduce people to the beauty of harvest. You are on the clock, and everybody's heads down, and you look forward to November 1st because it is.
And you're hoping you're done.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, let's be honest. You plant your plants, but the quality of what you get out of it is all dependent on how you do at harvest. Your timing, your effort, all of those things you talked about. And it's serious, and it's not fun, but it's because you're passionate about it is why it's such a critical time of year that we welcome people to come in November 1st.
Yeah, just
That'd
bring
be
your
wonderful.
scissors.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
come October 1st. Bring your scissors, work boots, coveralls.
Yeah. If we could duplicate Edward Scissorhands times 30, we would do that. There's no question.
How are you preparing for this year? So typically you're running a 30-day harvest cycle. Is that right? Or were?
It's about, so we've got it so that we have one crop that'll come off third week of September and get us primed.
Okay.
And then we really get going in earnest like October 1st. And it probably goes for a good 5 weeks. Like we get into November.
Yeah.
For like our strawberry cough and Three Blue Kings are really late harvesting plants.
Yeah. So with the expansion, are you just bringing more bodies in now to accomplish the same as you used to? Like, how do you handle that?
I think we'll have a prayer circle. Yeah, we're bringing in more bodies. We're really selling. We contracted out the expansion to sell all of that product for distillate input, which really lowers the bar of success for us. You're not going to make the most money doing that. That's not as critical for us as succeeding and getting that harvest off and learning how to deal with that scale. It sounds odd, but like we have a 150 acre farm, and we've been at 6 for 4 years.
5 years.
Right.
5 years. Just perfecting harvest and getting the product to the point where we're really happy with it. And that's part of why we stuck to wholesale for a while. It's just there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And we know that we've not got all the answers for harvest at this point.
Is there a point where this leads to my kind of wrap up with it, which is like, what's next? Like, do you see, please tell me you're never going to grow on 150 acres. Like, or are you? Like what?
Hey, Tom, if we're growing on 150 acres, you won't be talking to me because I'm gone. Yeah.
I'm gone. I'll join you in the Caribbean.
Deuces.
We've so I think we're literally right now toying with, okay, do we pause and breathe, absorb this, apply those learnings for next year? We have partners who want us to expand. We're torn. I mean, it's on the one hand, expansion is capital intensive. And if you invest too much forward looking and it doesn't turn out the way you hoped, there's not much of a support net there in the industry for you. So we're struggling with that right now because it is stressful expanding. It is stressful not knowing all the answers. Like at 6 acres, we knew exactly how to pull this off. Everything's designed. Like we're good. So the 12 is interesting, and I guess we'll look at what that full experience was before we make that decision. and maybe we expand out to, we've got another, of the 150 acres, we plant a lot of trees on the farm. So we probably have about 70 acres total is workable. It just, I get exhausted even talking about expanding 7 acres. It's a lot of work.
Well, I mean, there's more equipment, more bodies, more genetics, more like it's just everything multiplies.
Yeah. It for us, we've always kind of looked at it like a chessboard, right? You've got to get your math and your process down for 1 square. Once you know what goes into that square, you can multiply and go to 2 squares because you actually understand what that is. Do you go from 1 square to 5? I wouldn't. But you do it that way, and we know kind of exactly what it takes for 6 acres to do frozen and our small batch cured flower. We're now looking at how do you do an additional 6 acres for distillate. It's a different way. Once we kind of knock that down, it's like, okay, interesting. Now, what are the next squares that we can replicate because you know exactly what goes into that certain piece. But I do think, and I would caution anybody else, it's a bit of a fool's errand if you don't have your math on lockdown for one piece. It's hard to expand. So it'll be methodical, but the goal is whatever you expand, you can achieve what you wanted to achieve and the quality of what you're taking off of that field. So that's really going to be our focus. And, it's this entire industry is just about learning, right? You learn stuff, whether you want to or you don't, every single day. And you apply those learnings. So, we've always thought anybody who tells you where the industry is going to be a year from now is hilarious because anyone who tells you where it's going to be 30 days from now is probably blowing smoke. So
that's one thing I can say is I've never said where I think the industry will be in a year. I've been hearing the same thing for the last 8. So,
there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think we will expand. What that looks like, we'll find out, right?
Yeah.
When? Yeah.
Yeah, when and where I think we know, unless you decide in the move to like Okanagan Valley or something like that. But you guys are good Ontario boys. Listen, I love the products. I know that anyone that I've ever spoken with, especially those that wholesale from you and get the flower, they certainly do too. Guys, you're just genuine. I think that if some of the other producer processors took your advice or had your mind when it came to let's not grow beyond our means. Let's be smart with the money, know the market, learn some lessons. They'd probably be in a lot better space. But I'm just happy to be able to sit with you guys and know you. I mean, you're not that far of a drive. I like being able to come up. So I'm going to have to make another trip up soon.
Great. We'll lock the doors.
Yeah. I tell you what, Tom, we're so excited to have you as part of our harvest team.
Nope.
I think it's
Remember, he's locking the doors.
You're going to love it.
Yeah.
You should come up for harvest. It's amazing.
It's
No,
a
it sounds
party.
like it sounds like it would be. Are you guys doing a harvest party by any chance?
Yeah.
You know we are.
You got to slap us off with your name on it, buddy.
Yeah. For those that don't know what time of year it is and you get invited to Lune Rise, be careful.
Yeah.
Come
Thanks,
for a
gents.
tour.
I appreciate you joining us and much success. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks very much.
Right on. Thanks a lot, Tom.